Hello, is this thing on?
Kitty check, kitty check, kitty check. Hi there, my name's Lucas Stuber and I'm a speech-language pathologist and applied linguist based in beautiful, kind of almost about to rain, Portland, Oregon. I'm also the CEO of speechscience.org, which is a fancy title that means that if we get in trouble that I think am the one who gets in trouble. I might have to change my job title. Anyway, what we do at Speech Science is we try to come up with ways to give the most accurate, evidence-based information and tools to clinicians, to parents, to paraprofessionals, caregivers, teachers, anybody who can use that info. Because not everybody can, afford to spend the time or the money to go to 7 years of school and then pay for a journal membership to get access to the primary evidence. So we have a podcast that's dedicated to this, hours and hours of content with some really fantastic guests. We have a channel on Roku TV with a whole bunch of continuing education, including all the videos that we're going to be making for this conference. And we also have an iOS app. We have an Alexa app called Speech Science that teaches you or your students fun things about speech. So we have a lot of fun doing this. And as you might guess, I'm a little bit of a do-it-yourselfer. I like to make what I like to call ad hoc AT. So one of the problems that we have in the Pacific Northwest specifically is rain. It rains a lot. And if you have a student that has a high-tech device, something they want to take out with them all the time, you need to make sure that it's protected. Well, for a long time what we've done is we've looked at all these different cases, right? Like, these aren't even really particularly good ones. This one's pretty strong. A simple iPhone case. This is pretty, but not really protective. We get a lot of these foam cases and things like that. Well, I go out of my way to try to learn the best things out there in the field. And so, in my quest, I ended up in the deepest jungles of Madagascar, where I met a magi who taught me the secret of how to make an invulnerable tablet. A tablet that will withstand any fall, any drop, any amount of water. I'm going to show you that here today. Alright, so the tablet that I'm using for this demonstration today is an Amazon Kindle Fire 7. This is an Android tablet. There's actually a lot of really great AAC solutions available for it. From Saltillo, from Cough Drop. Brian Whitmer is going to be speaking for us tomorrow. So here's the process that you go about doing this. As you can see, this is totally intact. It's a really pretty handsome little tablet here, and it's one that's been in use for one of my students. So the first thing that you want to do to start the process of the magic spell that makes it invulnerable is give it just a little bit of a water bath. So we're going to take this, just make sure we really coat it, get it into the ports on the bottom too and on the back. If you want to make sure the water's all gone, you kind of tap it around a little bit. So this really, that's just a preparatory step. What this does is it gets it ready to absorb all the important ingredients from the spell. So now we have to cook it. And this has to be done in a tagine, right? This is part of the magic. If you don't have one of these, you can get one probably at local World Food, something like that. But I wouldn't recommend using a normal pot. It just doesn't really hold the steam right. So I'm going to go ahead and throw this in here. You can't really see well, but I already have a nice little layer of olive oil and vinegar. And then two really important spices here. So we have Vietnamese cinnamon and we have dillweed. And we need to make sure that we get plenty of both on the tablet, especially the dillweed. Yeah, there we go. And then what we're going to do is set this to high and leave it for about 45 minutes. You'll know by the smell. All right, so it's been about 45 minutes now. We have a nice sort of aroma coming off of the Kindle. Now at this point, if you don't want an Android tablet and you'd rather have an Apple, you can just throw an Apple in there. You have to cook it a little bit longer. I tend to prefer putting in a small Apple like that because I really like the mini tablets. But if you want to get yourself like a large Granny Smith or something like that, that'll also work. And then just to make sure that all the electronic components hold together well, what I like to use is some aluminum tape. So this is adhesive. Let's see if I can get it off here. These are always kind of fun to take apart. Oop, and I'm getting that nice finished smell from the apple there. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the heat. There we go. So here's my aluminum tape. What's nice about this is it is conductive, so it will work with electricity. And I'm just going to pick up the tablet and take the apple put it on the back, and just take this whole thing out. So right now we've got, you know, I think still a pretty handsome, pretty good looking tablet. I guess it doesn't want to be an Apple, it wants to be an Android. But there's a final step. We have to now tell the tablet, we have to instruct it that it is invulnerable. All right, so I'm back outside here, up on my balcony. It's hard to tell, but there's a pretty substantial drop as well as a river here. So I'm gonna go ahead and take off the aluminum tape. We don't need that anymore. It's already bound all the ingredients. Everything else is still on there, looking pretty good. So now the final step is that we turn on the tablet, which did actually just turn on. And then we set it to airplane mode. And when it's in airplane mode, as you can see, it's starting to rain a little bit, then it'll be ready to fly. So, tablet, you're now invulnerable, you are an airplane, go. Okay, well that was not very successful. Unfortunately, our tablet here has unsuccessfully launched into airplane mode. I might need to talk to that magi about getting my money back. But I did get to go for a swim, so that was kind of nice. I think we might have all just learned a lesson today, though, or at least I did, which is that when magic and crazy claims start getting involved in something scientific, we should probably take that with about 1.5 pounds of salt. Sorry, but there isn't any magical spell that's going to make an invulnerable iPad. And this one was already broken, so don't worry. I just had a lot of fun doing that. But that's what we're all about at Speech Science. If you subscribe to our podcast, speechscience.org, look at the articles that we have, what you're going to see is real evidence-based information, combined, yes, with some occasional silliness. But I assure you, we're not in the business of selling pseudoscience. So all this week, during our Speech Science intermissions, we're going to have some little silliness followed by some great information. You have me all day Wednesday, so you might want to have a glass of wine in hand for that one. But for now, it is my great honor to introduce Rachel Madel and Susan Berkowitz. Take it away.
All right, so good evening, everyone. We're excited to have you joining us at this conference full of amazing speakers. And Rachel Madel and I will be your hosts for this intermission session. We hope to dazzle you and give you some actionable tips you can use in your AAC implementation practice. I'm Susan Berkowitz. I've been a speech-language pathologist for 40 years, and I've been working with kids with autism for 44 years. And over the years, I've worked with clients who are young and old and with just about every type of developmental or acquired disability there is. Mostly, I have specialized in augmentative communication. I write about it on my blog. And in the interest of full disclosure, which ASHA requires, I should tell you that I have received absolutely no compensation for this presentation, none whatsoever. And I should also tell you that I have received permission for use of the video clips from their respective makers. They can all be found on YouTube by simply searching for wordless videos for kids. We use a lot of wordless books in speech therapy with kids who are developing language. So I'm going to let Rachel take it from here and tell you what we're doing.
Sure. So I'm Rachel Madel. I'm a speech language pathologist as well. I have a private practice here in Los Angeles, and I specialize in working with kids with autism, using a lot of AAC. I work with kind of emergent communicators, so a lot of kids who are nonverbal. I use a lot of visual communication boards, speech generating devices, you name it. I'm really excited to be here with Susan. As she mentioned, we're always kind of using wordless picture books to kind of inspire kids to communicate. But today we actually are going to be using wordless video. So I'm really excited. We have a few clips that we're going to show, and we're going to kind of go through what we might model as far as language. Susan's going to focus a little bit more on some more kind of sophisticated language modeling and skills, and I'm going to chime in, here and there with some things that you might want to practice with kids who are emerging with communication, so 1 or 2 words. And I'm really excited because I love using wordless picture books, and the thing that made this a game changer for me was we found a website that we're able to actually convert YouTube videos to downloadable files, because that's always my issue. I never have good Wi-Fi. My video is always taking 10 minutes to load.
Yeah.
So that's what makes this so great, is that there's this free website that I'm sure we can link to or write in the comments. But it allows you to kind of put them on your iPad or, computer, and you don't need Wi-Fi. You don't need internet to use them. So that's what I'm really excited about. So I'm like I said, we're going to show video clips, and I'm going to let Susan, in 60 seconds or less, explain what aided language stimulation is. I know probably everybody knows what that is, but let's just, in case somebody doesn't, let's go.
That's okay. I can do this part in my sleep.
Right.
So one of the things that we learned many, many years ago, and then kind of weren't so good about remembering and practicing, was that the very first and most crucial step in teaching kids to use augmentative communication is aided language stimulation, which in a word is modeling. Kids who are typically developing listen to us speak, and they've heard millions of words as they've learned language, and they've practiced them, and they've seen them in context, and they've played with them and used them when it's not the right context, and learned from all of us how to use language. Kids who need to use pictures to communicate don't get those models of people using pictures to communicate. Your average AAC user, who at some point in his school life, and maybe hopefully before that, has probably not seen any models of people using pictures to communicate. So we need to give them those models so that they can learn the words and learn what the symbols mean and how to use them and where they are. And again, just like wordless picture books, which are so popular for narrative development that there are actually narrative assessments that are based solely on wordless picture books. This time we're going to share some wordless video clips, and I'm going to be modeling along with my iPad, and so you will see and hear as I say what I would say to a student, and as my iPad says what his AAC system would say with me modeling. So here goes the first one. And if Janice Light is anywhere near, yeah, I know, cookies.
Cookies.
Where's Marta Life?
And I'm just going to be chiming in too.
Who's that?
That. What?
What do you see?
You. See? What?
What does he see?
Me. See?
Oh, what does he want?
Me. Well,
We might say looking,
I think
jumping.
he wants cookies. How's he going to get them?
then.
Try the broom.
What?
What next?
Next?
What's he gonna, he tried climbing. Uh-oh, where is he?
Here.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
The ice,
Ice fall down.
it fell down.
Ow.
Now what is he doing?
Doing?
He pushes the book,
Pushes book.
and he has a
Yes,
board.
board.
What's he doing?
Pink.
Oh
Not
no,
working.
that's not working.
Boxes.
No, the boxes. He climbs. Uh-oh,
Oh no.
they fall. Does he get cookies? No. Now what's he gonna do? I think he's
I
jumping.
think. He jumping.
He broke the trampoline. What now?
What now?
What's on his feet?
Feet.
Those are plungers.
Plungers.
He's climbing. Uh-oh,
No.
he's stuck.
Stuck.
The doors are opening. Oh dear. What's that? Oh, sorry.
What that?
He's trying to get them off. They're stuck.
Oh no. Feet. Stuck.
What's that?
What that?
It's a saw.
Saw.
What's he cutting? He's got the floor. Oh, it falls. The refrigerator falls. The cookies fall. He still doesn't have any cookies. He screams. he pushes. He even tries fishing. Oh, no. What did he catch?
Catch.
A fish.
Fish.
Oh, he's sad.
Sad.
He's gonna try jumping. Uh-oh.
He falls down.
He falls down. Screams and he yells and he falls.
He falls down.
And the cookies fall down.
Down.
He has a cookie. Is he gonna eat the cookie? No.
No.
It fell on his head.
Fell on head.
He's sad.
Sad.
Poor Ormy.
Love.
So we can tell that sometimes the only thing in life is a cookie. So he should know there is more to life than cookies. So while we could repeat all day in our practice and our modeling, he wants cookies, it's very little actual communication. Once you've asked for something, the interaction doesn't usually go any further. But within the schema of the pig wants cookies, we can talk about all of the ways that he tries to get cookies. We can talk about climbing, pushing, pulling, open, fall, reach, grab. And we can make comments like, he's funny, and oh no, and what will he do next? And more.
So I love this. I think that it's the perfect video to show when you're trying to work on verbs, actually. So, I work a lot with kids with autism. They have a hard time with abstract concepts like verbs. So, and I'm always, before video, we were kind of stuck with flashcards, and it doesn't really represent the jumping. A picture of jumping doesn't really represent jumping. So I love this because you're able to show videos, and we know how successful video modeling is for kids with autism. But this is super fun. This isn't, dry watching somebody wash their hands. It's super engaging. I agreed with kind of the words that Susan were targeting. I wrote some down too, walking, jumping, reaching, cleaning, push, carry, climb, bounce, sticky, talking, using a descriptor. There's so many with this. And, I feel like you could watch it over and over and over again and still,
Right.
find new things.
And you're always going to build more language with each time that you watch it. You can watch it and set your, just like you do with reading, set your purpose for reading, set the purpose for the kids for watching. What are they watching for? One time they might be watching for all of the verbs, all of the ways that he tries. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you might say, let's look at the sequence. What does he do first, then next, then last? And emotions, which are really, really tough for our kids with autism and a lot of other disabilities. And they have those words on their AAC system, but don't always use them very well. So things like frustrated, optimistic, persistent, really big words, but there are synonyms for those, and there are words in their AAC system for them related to their life. How would you feel? Was there a time when you wanted something that you couldn't have? So there's a lot of language that you can generate around one very silly and fun video.
And I always tell parents, you have to start incorporating these emotion words and the language behind emotions, because it's not every day where you're feeling frustrated or you're feeling sad. It takes so many experiences to understand that abstract language concept. So having a video to kind of be able to model on the device as far as emotions is really, really awesome. I think we're in the Matrix again.
Oh dear, we just joined the Matrix again. Okay, let's.
By the way, I'm reading the chat a little bit, and we will absolutely link to the videos and the website. The other thing too is just YouTube search wordless videos, and a plethora of options.
Yeah, that's how I found them.
Honestly, who knew? I was really excited when I kind of stumbled upon them. So there's tons out there, but we also were asked, what device were you modeling with, Susan?
I was using an iPad, and tonight I'm going to be using both the ProLoquo Go app and the Touch Chat app.
Yeah, we had tried to figure out a way that we could show Susan's iPad, because we thought that would be really helpful to kind of see the setup, but
the technology was not with us.
not just so much in this setup. So did we figure out the next one? I think that we looks like
yes, the next video we have is a little more interesting. So if you've got older kids or kids who are interested in playing video games, and who isn't, watching certain movies, this is a really great video clip to use to engage them. It's called Pigeon Impossible. And I'm going to turn my volume way down. So
this is a really cute one.
it is.
And I love these animated shorts, because you have to look at the body language, the facial expressions, to really understand what's going on. And that's such a great skill for our learners to learn.
Really. And so I would start out with,
Where?
where are we? Where do you think this is?
Big.
It looks like a
City.
big city to me. And
Walking.
he's walking. Where do you think he's gonna go? He's walking across the street,
Across.
and he gets a briefcase.
Okay.
And
He sits
he
down.
sits down, and he's eating a bagel.
Okay. Bagel.
Opens it. Oh, what does this pigeon want?
Pigeon. Wants.
He wants the bagel. No, he doesn't want just one bite. He wants that
He
whole
wants bagel.
bagel. So he flies over to the man, and the man,
Man.
he runs away.
Runs.
Uh-oh.
He.
In the briefcase.
Briefcase.
Uh-oh. What's he doing in there?
What? He. Doing.
He's in the briefcase.
Is.
He's pushing
He
buttons.
pushes buttons.
What's going to
What
happen?
happened?
It's. Let's watch. It's jumping up and down.
Down.
Oh no, people are running.
Running.
Why are they running?
The briefcase has
It
guns.
has guns.
It
It
shoots.
shoots. Oh no. How does he
Down.
feel? I think he's
He
scared. It has rockets.
Where?
Where's it going?
Going. Down.
How does the man feel now?
Wheel.
He's running away.
Run.
And he falls down.
Down.
But he sees the bagel,
See.
picks it up. Why?
Why?
Oh, because he knows the bird wants the food. The bird wants it. Is he going to get it? It's down.
Bird wants
He
food.
wants the food, but he looks hopeful. Oh, he does not want to get caught. So he goes back inside.
Go inside.
What does the man do? Puts the food down. Yep,
It bounces.
and a bounce. Oh, there it goes, and it hits that big red button.
Slow.
What's that? A rocket. Oh no. Oh, what's he gonna do? Oh no. How does he feel? Oh, he's gonna fly up with the briefcase because he wants to stop that rocket. He wants to stop it.
Stop.
Here comes the bird
Bird flies to food.
because he wants the bagel. What's next? Boom. The rocket. He stopped it.
Stop rocket.
Will he shoot the bird? No more shots. And the bird flies to the bagel. What's going to happen next? Boom. He stopped
And stop
the
rocket.
rocket. And
Man. Down. Ground.
hands down on the ground, and the bird is eating the
Bird eats
bagel. And what's he gonna do? He just walks away.
Away. Food. That what? You. Food.
Oh, sorry, my
You.
iPad is just
What? You.
okay.
Warm. I think we want cookies on the bed. No. We tried in water. Next.
My iPad has a mind of its own.
Oh, I
Listen,
saw that
I
I
think
have cleared the
every
message
good
window.
technology
It's still talking.
my tail during this.
Oh no.
No.
Yes, those technology gods again. Not happy with
We
this.
can do an offering.
So
They told us to get cookies.
it's muted. All right, so here's a video clip with the same basic kind of a message. The bird wants food. But there's all the subtleties of the spy craft, which will register with some students who play video games or watch certain movies. Others will just think that it's kind of funny. So you can point out how the pigeon is randomly pushing button and more bad things happen. You can look at the man's face, which is very, very expressive in the animation, and focus again on those feelings and emotions that he has. Also that, the pigeon is randomly pushing buttons and stuff happens. So you can talk about cause and effect as well. And Rachel, do you want to jump in?
So what I loved in the beginning of that, Susan, was you were pausing it. And I think that's a really great kind of thing to remember, is that, I'm constantly pausing and then starting again and then pausing and rewinding. So I think that's really important. You also hit a lot of core words, which was really good. So even for kids who are a little, who might not grasp all the concepts, you can still model a lot of those core words. I have down open, eat, fly, out, off, stop, want. These are all words that you can target. The other thing too is, we're showing you lots of videos that you can use, and there's tons of them. But another thing to remember is that you can always pick. Most of the kids that I work with have a video that they are obsessed with, and you can absolutely use something that's super motivating for the kids that you're working with, and just turn the volume off. So I'm constantly like, oh, you want to watch that video? Okay, fine. We'll watch it. We'll turn the volume off and then we'll talk about it. So,
Which is fabulous for building dialogue too.
yeah, exactly. So I think that's something else that's really, important to remember is it's so important. Motivation is the most important thing, as you all know. So find those things, those videos that kids are, really interested in. I have one kid, have you guys seen the baby Gangnam Style videos? It's like that weird Gangnam Style music, that song, but it's babies doing all types of actions.
Oh, cool. I'll have to look at those.
Honestly, just Google it. It's entertaining for sure. But there's actually lots of ways that you can target language, especially verbs, because these babies are roller skating and they're jumping and they're doing all types of funny things. I have a kid who loves these videos, and he's not really into communicating. He'll kind of do the bare minimum. But when these videos come on, he's laughing, he's excited, he wants to talk about it. So I think it's just an important reminder, find what kids are motivated by.
And this is also really important for, oh God. See, you get old, you start your sentence, and you have no idea where it's going. That's something I was going to say. Right, for when we talk about verbs and morphology, a lot of our kids with disabilities don't get the same opportunities and activities that typically developing kids do. They don't get out as much. They aren't out in the community. They aren't doing skateboarding so much, or a lot of the other things that typical kids do, and get lots of time to learn the vocabulary that goes with those activities. And so we need to present that information in a way that is going to make sense for those kids who don't have those experiences, to fill in that background information.
Yep, I couldn't agree more.
So I've got one more quick video, which I think we have time for. And this is a totally different kind of a theme.
I love this Zen, peaceful oasis.
I know. Look at that. Oh. Now, of course, I should unmute my iPad. Where are they? That looks really nice. Would you like to go there?
Go. There.
I would.
Me too.
Let's see what happens. Palm tree. Oh,
What's in?
what's in that hole?
Hole?
Uh-oh.
Look.
Look at him.
Him.
What's
What?
he looking at?
He look.
What's he doing?
He. Doing?
He's walking,
Walking.
and he's looking. He sees the coconut. Doesn't look like he knows what it is. What's he gonna do? He's walking.
He walking.
He's looking.
He looking.
He's looking again. He's getting braver. He's walking closer. And now he touched it.
Touch.
Nothing happened. He touches it.
Touch.
And now he's pushing.
Push.
He's pushing.
What look?
What does that look like? I see a face.
Face.
He's not sure. He's gonna push it.
Push.
And he pushes again.
Push.
And it's rolling
Down.
across, down a hill in the sand. It's rolling down.
Down.
He's walking
Keep
again.
walking.
He's gonna push it again. And push
Push.
across the beach.
Across. Beach.
And he's pushing it some
Push again.
more, and
Rolling.
it's rolling.
Down.
Rolling across the beach. It's pushing,
Push again.
and uh-oh. Oh
Rolls.
no, it rolls right
Rolls
on
down.
him.
In.
And now, uh-oh,
Oh.
it's rolling all
Roll
the way
down.
down the beach. He's looking.
Keep looking.
Oh, it rolled
Rolls.
right into
In.
the water.
Water.
Huh. Uh-oh. What happened? More coconuts. I think that was pretty funny, don't you?
I love that one.
I do too.
It's so
For
good.
each action that the crab takes, there is something that happens.
And you
There's
know,
quest-
exactly. And I love that it's a little slower paced. So
Mhm.
there's a lot of suspense. What will happen? So it's really easy to focus on some predictions.
Yeah,
So-
prediction, commenting, asking questions, and there's a sequence to it, so you can work on the sequencing, building the language for that. And of course, again, there's lots of times when you can ask questions about how the crab feels. And on that one little crab, they have managed just with eyes to make great animated features that you can talk to kids about how things look.
Yes, exactly. So it looks like, do you think it's 5:45? So should we take some questions?
We should. We need to take some questions, and I'm going to let you see if you can see them, because I can't get to the chat right now.
What vocabulary set are you using, Susan?
I am using Proloquo to Go Core Intermediate or Touch Chat with Word Power 42.
Yeah, and I think, you know, Susan was obviously modeling very quickly because of the time constraints of this presentation, but, you know, obviously you would definitely be using the pause button a lot.
Yes,
You want to
absolutely.
pause and read
And I didn't pre-program a lot, but I did set my my iPad up so that I could navigate quickly back and forth. And in the interest of time.
That was
But
really
yeah.
impressive.
Yeah, we'll just see, one of our other questions here was whether you play the video through or you stop it frequently to allow time for comments.
And we do stop it. You stop it and get some comments. You do some talking about what's happening. See if the student can find the words on his AAC system while you're modeling. Lots of time for discussion. So yeah, you would stop it periodically to have that discussion, and you would also, like we said earlier, watch it more than once and set your purpose for watching it each time.
I actually, I have a story to share. I was doing this with a kiddo last week, and I paused it and I just waited because I'm just the master of expectant pause. And he said play. He wanted me to play.
Cool.
Which I loved.
I do. And I do a lot of evaluations using video clips or DVDs because it is one thing that's very motivating for a lot of our kids. And if I can get from watch to watch more in a session, I'm thrilled.
I mean, seriously.
Yeah. And, and sometimes you do, because sometimes all it takes is some really structured, intensive one-on-one modeling to show them what they need to do.
Exactly. And the motivation, right?
Yeah.
So I'm sure when that 3-word utterance came out, there was a high level of motivation.
Yes. Absolutely.
I have a funny comment, Susan. Wow, I wish my computer screen was that clean.
On my desk, there's this folder here that says everything on desktop. Yeah, that's where I shoved everything.
I do that exact same thing before presentations.
And then
Really?
everything in the closet.
I know.
That's too funny.
So I have one question here is, you know, this is something that I always encourage parents to do with their kids when they're sitting just watching videos at home, right? Is that something that you'd advocate for as well? And how would you go about training the family and the circle support?
Absolutely. So when I don't work for a school district, I'm in private practice, but I do consult to a lot of districts in Southern California, and I do staff training. And I always ask the school district to invite parents to the training. If I'm training a specific team for a specific child, then those parents are going to come. If I'm doing a bigger training, invite as many parents as you can. I want these parents to know what to do. I have done evaluations for the last 19 years at the San Diego Assistive Technology Center, and that's mostly where parents come in. If they're not feeling like they're getting what they want from their school district. And I spend most of my time talking about how to use it, how to make it work, how to do aided language stimulation, how to use the routines that you've built to build your language. Because parents have the kids more time than we do, and they need to know, and it needs to be consistent. And I tend to spend more time talking to the parents than actually assessing, because ultimately it's maybe 1% which device you get. I know some people would skewer me for that, but it's 99% how it's implemented.
Yeah.
And sometimes I just, I used to throw my arm when there were a lot of devices on the market. Sometimes I would just throw my arms wide and say, I don't care, pick one. Not always.
As long as everybody goes to church together, right? Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
For specific devices or systems. But
Well,
sometimes
folks, I hate to interrupt. We're at our time. We need to give up the room here for our next panel. Rachel and Susan, I think that was absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much. It's always wonderful to see a masterful display of aided language stimulation. And of course, we will have these materials available both through YapGuru and also on aac.speechscience.org, which will be live by the end of the week. Along with
I will get Lucas a list of the URLs for those videos.
Cool.
Perfect.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thanks for coming.
Great. Thank you.